guys and fellow subscribers, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing about the First Imperial War, and we're going to go into the depths of its history, the events that caused it, the war itself, and of course the resolution and casualties. I wish you guys the best of luck. Also, since it's a little bit probably late at night wherever you are or early in the morning, I want to say thank you guys so much for participating and watching these videos. Now, let's get into today's video. So, we are at the events and what led to the First Imperial War. I have pulled up a article from September 27th of 2022, and there's three different kinds of events that have happened on this day, and one of them is going to be the start of the First Imperial War. So I'm going to read all three articles, and then I'll give a breakdown of what happened with these certain events from the newspapers. So let's begin. Flash News, September 27th, 2022. Grayton celebrates their victory in building an empire. On this very afternoon, the leader of Grayton, Franz Deinheimer, decided to celebrate his country's victory in building a strong industrial empire with his allies Faisefilid and Austria. The leader gave a speech to his people on his balcony by saying, quote, "Ladies and gentlemen of the Grey Nation, today is a day that I, your ruler, have officially declared that this day is a triumphant day for our success in creating a great economy through our alliance with Austria and Faisefilid. As for my soldiers, we as an empire will be the most powerful, and no one could overthrow us as we thrive on our trade." End quote. After his speech, the people cheered with delight and began to play music and dance happily as their victory was achieved. That's the first article. Now we're moving on to the second article. Second article. Red Hot and Budapest succeeded from Tynarian's trading system and decided to go independent. Today, the countries of Budapest and Red Hot have decided to quit Tynarian's trading system because they were suffering from the same problem as Condus when they decided to leave, and that was little income in their trading supply. With their income of trade money and supplies being low, they have decided that since their trading system with Tynarian wasn't working, they decided to remove themselves from the trading system and start trying to rebuild their economy on their own trading system. Tynarania, despite losing 3 countries of its trading system, was a little desperate to have them back, but didn't want to deal with the struggle of reclaiming their lost countries by force. So Tynarania decided to let them go and start somewhere else. Tynarania threatens invasion on Goland and Ukraine. Today, the leader of Tynarania, Tsar Kiev, has gathered his citizens to attend a meeting in the town square, where he would be addressing a message towards everyone around the world. Everyone managed to arrive at the meeting, and Kiev began to speak his message to the people by saying this, quote, "Ladies and gentlemen of our beloved communist motherland, I have news to share with you. Our beloved allied countries, Condus, Tasmania, Red Hot, and Budapest, have managed to isolate themselves from our trading system, which means we only have one country under our rule, which is Morlant. Even though our economy is strong with only Morlant under our rule, our country's economy wouldn't be as rich as it is now. So I am ordering a new rule that everyone must follow. I want everyone who works in factories to shut their trading organizations around the world and only focus on our ally Morlant. We are going to make our trade only with Morlant, and as for my soldiers, prepare yourselves for an invasion, because I have declared invasion on Goland and Ukraine, where they have rich resources we could make and also expand our economy. I want all of my people to support and fight for this opportunity, because we will be the powerful nation of the world." End quote. After his speech, the people of Tynarania began to cheer for the leader, and the army of Tynarania began to strengthen their forces for the invasion of Goland and Ukraine. When will the invasion take place? Will the Allies stop Tynarania before or after he invades the countries? Will Golan and Ukraine fight on their own? This is another article waiting to happen. So, what really happened is Tinarania's training buddies, Tasmania, Condus, and all the other countries I mentioned, have decided to leave the trading income because of him not paying them back after the deal. Because in his deal, he says that every time they trade from a different country, the money they get half will go to Tinarania, and Tinarania will give half of the money they have back to them. But they haven't done so because they were actually involved with the previous war, and they were a little bankrupt. So they depended on the other nations to give them money back, and decided to keep the money instead of giving them back, which therefore caused the other nations to break away, except for Marlant. And Tinarania and Marlant have been good friends since the beginning, and they have made great trading economies. So, and since Golan and Ukraine were new nations and new countries that were discovered a couple weeks ago or a month ago even, Tinarania begins to see Golan and Ukraine's potential into becoming part of Sarkiv's empire that he was trying to reclaim by making new nations be part of his empire instead of having the old ones. So he decides to declare invasion on Golan and Ukraine, and in the next article we'll learn what the allies are going to do about this situation, and then we're going to get into the war itself. Now we have reached to the part of the war. Now, the beginning of my intro is basically the same thing from the article, so I'm just going to get straight into the war itself. As the Allied nations prepare their defenses, Sarkiv has started to go out with his invasion plan. Kiev wants a fleet of his ships to block every transport to Tenyo. If his blockade has managed to be proven ineffective, then he would retreat his fleet and call in his ally, Morlant, to help his army with their invasion if he couldn't block their enemy's supply transport. If Kiev manages to control both Kondus and Gogolin, then he would go through Gostria and Basaja to conquer the country of Ukraine. Harold's defense plan is to prepare his fleet to counterattack Kiev's and sink any of his ships that come near their port. And once they have sunk the Tyranian ships and defeated the fleet, they will send transport ships to Gridley so they can transport troops towards their country, and from there march their way towards Bamaya. Deinheimer's plan is to send transport ships of his men to Kandahar, and once his forces have reached the country, they would march towards Gostria. Golan and Ukraine's defense plan is to set up defenses and be prepared for the worst. Tinarania had already begun to send his fleet to block entrances to Tenyo. So far, he only has ships near Kondust, Faisafilid, and Bamaya, since he only had a few ships guarding the three other countries to block their trading supplies. Grayton, Basaja, and Grilly, now with the opportunity, began to conduct their plans. Since Basaja is close to Grilly, it will take them a few hours to get their ships there to pick up the battalions and retrieve them. As for Grayton, they have already sent their ships, but it would take them 2 days for them to arrive to the country of Kandahar. So Franz sent a radio message to Gosha and that Faisafili about their 2-day delay. Franz wanted the army of Faisafili to meet Gosha and Golan, and once they have met each other, he would like them to set up defensive positions and supply the Gaulish troops with anything they have. The two countries understood their command and began to send troops towards Golan. But there was a small problem. Since Gosha is in between Golan and Ukraine, he could easily move to Golan in a few hours. But Faisafilid is located on the top right side of Tenyo, and he borders with Kondus, Morlant, and Budapest. They can go through Kondus easily because they are allies, but then they have to go through Morlant undetected, which is a very risky situation. So they would advance through Budapest and Madas to reach the path to Goland, which will take them 2 days as well. Tsar Kiev is now preparing an offensive plan while he hopes for the blockade to succeed. Gaussian troops have managed to reach the country of Goland and have begun to set up defenses. The Poseidon ships that were sent to Greeley have managed to come back, and the Grataalian soldiers are now on the way to Bamaya. The troops from Gosha and Goland are now digging trenches on the outskirts of the city of Ginza. Their plan is to hunker down until the Philidian troops arrive. Kiev has managed to hack into the radio lines and have received the message from Grayton to Gosha and Philid, and have received the message from Grayton to Gosha and Philid. Since he now knows that it will take Philid and Grayton 2 days to get to their destination, he would start to send in his troops to weaken the Allies by nightfall. By dusk, he will send troops to Kondust to weaken any Kondustian and Tasmanian defenses, then call in their ally Morlant to attack from behind. Then, when they are done with Kondust, they will move on Basaja, Bamaya, Golan, Gosha, and Ukraine. Tanarang has already sent their troops, and as the troops march steadily in on an unprepared defensive position by Kondustian and Tasmanian troops, they launched their attack. Tasmanian and Kondustian troops tried their best to defend, but it would result with them surrendering. The total number of casualties were 31 Kondustians, 45 Tasmanians, and as for the Tanarang casualties, there was a total of 44. 24 of them were tank crew members that were killed in action, and the other 20 were soldiers on foot, or basically part of the infantry. Due to the heavy casualties in Kondust, Machi Hun of Kondust surrendered to Tainarangian forces while Tasmanian soldiers returned to their country, and getting ready for the next attack, or basically having a backup plan for the next attack. Now that Kondust is under their supervision, they began to infiltrate and occupy it as their own. Excuse me, guys. I thought it was getting a little dry. As for the troops of Philid, they have decided to rest in the country of Madas, and the Grataalians have managed to reach Bamaya and prepare their defenses. Now, since the Tainarians have conquered the country of Kondust, they, along with their ally Morlant, will start to invade the countries of Bamaya, Golan, Gosha, Basaja, and Ukraine, as I mentioned before. The troops of Philid are a few minutes away from Golan, and they have sent a message to Goshian General Alexander Wagner, letting him know that they will be late and that they may have to fight on their own. Alexander didn't like the circumstances and had two options: either to hold Golan with the Gaulish army and his own, or evacuate Golan and move to Gosha to prepare a defense. Alexander would like to evacuate the country to avoid death of the Gaulish army and his own, so he went to General Mikolaj Kowalska to convince him into evacuating towards Gosha. Mikolaj agreed to evacuate because he knew that if his men stayed, they would be massacred. So they decided to regroup in Gosha. As the soldiers were packing up to leave, Alexander sent a message to the Philidian troops telling him to stop. Another mistype. Sorry, guys. Let me deal with it. Oh, yeah. Telling them, not him. Sorry, guys. It's because he was sending a message to the troops, not a particular person. Alright. Sorry, I had to move from camera. Telling a message to the Philistines troops telling them to stop in Gosha. Stop in Gosha, and that they will meet there to prepare for defense. As for the country of Basaja, the military are preparing a series of defenses along their border from Marlant. These series of bunkers, trenches, and pillboxes, sorry for this again, I had to make room, was called Winston's Line. Each position is guarded by the whole Basajan army, and if the enemy were to pass Basaja, they would have to wipe out every defense on Winston's Line. Alexander and Kowalska's forces had managed to flee Golan just in time before the Tynarians launched their attack. General Yukrich of the Tynarian army begins to send his forces towards Bamile, while his second in command, General Alexei, sends half of his army towards Golan. If Alexei captures Golan, then they could help Yukrich invade Bamile. The Marlantian troops, led by Meng Shen, are going to lay siege on Winston's Line along with the troops from Tynarania. The Phaezophilidians have also managed to reach Gautia and begin to help Gautia and Golan prepare their defenses on time. And excuse me guys, I'm going to take myself a water break because my throat is really dry. A few minutes later, I'm done taking my water break, but we have a problem. So, since there's a lot here to talk about, I'm going to have to split this video into 2 parts, or maybe even 3. But don't worry guys, these videos will be posted later this afternoon, so you won't miss the whole picture. I may have to put them in the playlist though, because I can't make huge videos, so I am very sorry guys, but wait until the second part comes out, and let me know what you think about this first part. And I promise there won't be any breaks, there won't be any thing like this happening in the future. So I'll see you guys this afternoon. Or actually, I will continue this afternoon.